going, people? This is a good update on this case. If you remember, I covered this Goines case in Houston a while back. Really, really egregious, earning the hate, horrible case. Black officer carrying drugs. Stephen Bryant, his partner, another black officer. Both these two were the masterminds of doing this botched raid on the Tuttle family. Killed him and his family, this guy and his family, inside their house on fake information, false. They lied to get us fake search warrant. Still don't know the reason why they went after this family in order to kill them. But it was clear Goines had something. He wanted to bust these people. He got a no-knock warrant saying there was a gun. When they went in the house, they threw a flashbang. They end up killing the dog and both Mr. and Mrs. Tuttle here. Well, now Bryant just stuck a plea deal.
Investigator Mario Diaz is live downtown.
Lauren, in layman's terms, Stephen Bryant essentially admitted that he tried to help clean up this entire mess. His guilty plea today, a pivotal development, not only for the case as to where it stands today, but for future cases involved in this entire scandal.
So Bryant, by taking a plea, when you take a plea, part of the plea agreement is always you must cooperate. Well, I wouldn't say always. If you have information that they want to use against someone else, this will be part of the plea agreement. But if they don't need you, then this wouldn't be part of it. But anytime they give you a plea, when there's an ongoing case and there's several co-conspirators, because there's several officers that were involved in this, but Goines being the worst one of it all because he's the mastermind, he's the one that had to dope the car. He's the one that called Bryant to the hospital and said, go get the drugs out of my car and hide them. And then Bryant went and either moved the drugs or hid the drugs or tried to book them or say they weren't there. And then they lied in statements and got their stories together. So because he was doing this blue line bullshit, we got to protect each other, cops are great, etc. Now he just pled guilty and he's facing 20 years for a guilty plea. Can you imagine? He took a guilty plea knowing he could get 20 years and he pled guilty instead of going to trial. Wow. So I can't even imagine what they're going to charge Goines with. I mean, he's got to be facing double homicide, murder, all kind of things for the death of these two people.
That has wrapped up HPD now for more than 2 years.
I was actually surprised.
Stephen Bryant's guilty plea in federal court today surprised many. He pleaded guilty to destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in connection to the deadly botched raid on Harding Street. But what does it mean for the other officers awaiting trial?
This ought to give them chills that there's somebody who was there who might be starting to tell them.
Anytime there's co-conspirators, the first guy that cuts the deal gets the best deal. But normally prosecutors will cut the deal with the one they think is least culpable, or they cut the deal with the person who can help them get the guy they want. Goines is the mastermind. That's who they want. This guy is going to be the perfect witness. They want his testimony. That's why they offered him a deal. He agreed to take the deal, and I guarantee you part of the deal, they're not showing the deal. Guarantee it. You agreed to testify truthfully in all future court appearances through the trial and any appeals, blah, 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 blah. So that'll be part of his plea agreement, and that's why the other guys are like, oh, shit, man, he sung on us. He's a rat. Well, you know what? You're all freaking rats out there on the cop killing people, planting drugs, and doing your bullshit. But diversity is our strength. Let's not forget that.
On the whole truth.
Attorney Mike Doyle represents Regina Nicholas's family. HPD narcotics officers shot and killed Nicholas.
Nobody's mentioned a hate crime. These were black officers killing white people. Did a false warrant, lied, false information, made up shit just to go in his house, do a no-knock warrant, killed both people. Black officers killing white people. No hate crime. Perfect.
And her husband, Dennis Tuttle, while serving a no-knock warrant built on false allegations in January 2019. Doyle says Bryant's plea now opens the door for the...
Also, in this trial, I'll put a link to my first video I did. The cops end up shooting each other. There were so many cops and everybody was firing. I think 3 officers were shot by other cops or something. It was just a crazy case.
Real story to emerge.
Well, what it means is you have someone who is at the scene who doesn't have an excuse not to answer questions about what happened before, during.
So when he says he doesn't have an excuse, that means he's been given, the plea deal is almost like immunity. if a prosecutor wants your testimony, you can claim the fifth and say, I don't want to say anything because it might incriminate me. And if it incriminates me, I go to jail. Therefore, I face exposure, so I can take the fifth. So prosecutors can go, you know what? We're going to give you immunity. You're not facing any prosecution. You're not facing any jail time. Therefore, you don't have the Fifth Amendment protection, and you must testify. If you don't, we'll hold you in contempt or put you in jail. So that's the way they get your testimony, either through giving you immunity so you don't have the right to take the fifth, or they cut you a deal when you plead guilty, and part of the deal is you must testify, otherwise we snatch the deal back and we prosecute you and you get more time. So that's the problem with that, is because they now have a witness, the government has a witness, Bryant, that if he doesn't do what they want, he gets more time. This gives prosecutors an enormous ability to abuse their authority and say, we need you to say this on the stand. And the guy's not going to get on the stand and go, man, they told me to say this. Okay, you just blew your deal. We didn't tell you that. You misunderstood us. You're lying. Therefore, you got on the stand and lied because we never said it. And now we're pulling your deal and now you face. So they know the person who's in prison and doesn't want to get more time is held under this gun that I have to say what the prosecutors want or they'll screw me. Which is why I think cutting deals to get testimony is a really bad way to convict people. I don't mind if it's peripheral information or if it corroborates on the outside, but when your main testimony comes from a convicted felon that the government has cut a deal with, that's bullshit. And so anyway.
And after the murder of Regina and her husband.
Doyle says there's been talk of Bryant working with federal prosecutors. He views today's admission by Bryant as a key development for the Harris County DA's office in their cases.
It certainly ought to give the state the opportunity to find out more about what happened at the scene after the shootings and really get to the bottom of what's never been answered.
So when he says he gives them more information, now, see, Bryant before could take the fifth. I'm facing exposure. Now he can't, so that means he has to tell them everything, because if he doesn't tell them something and it comes out later that he knows and he didn't tell them, now he blew his deal. So now he's going to be very, very open, and he doesn't want to leave anything out. And that gives, investigators and prosecutors a great way to put a case together, connect the dots, identify more witnesses, identify more evidence, identify multiple crime scenes, identify computer records, phone records. It just, when you have somebody from the inside, that's why cops like to use undercover cops, because you have a friendly witness on the inside that learns all the ins and outs, and it's easy to make a really good, strong case, which I'm glad. Goines needs to go away for life.
Doug Griffith is the president of HPD's union.
Now, as a union guy, he should be saying, hey, these cops are dirtbags. They broke the freaking law, and they ought to go into the jail. He doesn't really say that, but he kind of soft shoes it and said, these guys need to man up and admit what they did. That's not the way I would say it. And I was the president of our union for, a year or two, and that's not the way I would say it. I would say, these guys are freaking dirty cops. I'm glad they got caught. I hope they sing on everybody, and I hope they identify more dirty cops if they're out there, because we don't want them. That's what he should be saying.
It doesn't bother me in the least.
Griffith making it clear to KPRC2 Investigates he is not concerned of Bryant working with prosecutors. In fact, he views it as a powerful message to others who are charged.
At the end of the day, I'm hoping that this will serve as a warning to Goines and to the others that were possibly involved, that if they were involved in criminal activity, they need to man up and do what's right.
If they were involved in criminal activity, I wouldn't have been that politically correct.
So what is next here for Stephen Bryant? He is set to be sentenced in approximately 2 months at some point in August. Also, he is facing up to the potential of 20 years.
20 years he pled guilty to. People don't plead guilty for a lot of time unless they know that if they go to trial, they're going to get a lot more time. So I'm assuming they probably told Bryant, dude, 2 people are dead on a false warrant, and you either conspired before or afterwards, which makes you an accessory after the fact, or you were a co-conspirator and you're one of the principals. We're going to charge you with both these freaking murders, and you're looking life without the possibility of parole. Or you can cut a deal for 20 years with the possibility of parole, but you're going to be our bitch and you're going to tell us everything we want to know and you're going to testify for us. And the fact that he said, I'll take 20 years, man, that tells you this case is freaking dirty and deep. But we'll see how it goes. We'll end that there.